Yeah, I guess that's the problem of when you're like serializing a manga every week. I wonder how much of it like is actually planned before and how much of it just feels like it's falling apart.
Exactly, which is why like the more manga I read, the more I respect something like One Piece, which can keep coherency this long. You know what I mean?
And it just continually getting more and more epic, right?
And just continually getting better and better. But I mean, like that's also why I really value when a manga just has a good ending. Not even a manga, but just any media in anime, manga, or light novels that just has an ending that people are satisfied with.
I don't ask for much, but I do ask for a satisfactory ending to a story.
I've just, the more I've been reading manga, my pet peeve is like where it just starts to fall apart in the last 40, 50 chapters.
Yeah,
that's been happening a lot.
Nothing ruins, I feel, like an experience of going through this entire long journey with these characters that you fall in love with in this world that is interested in you. To come to like a limp dick ending, you know what I mean? Like
there are like I swear to God, I can count the amount of like satisfying endings on like my hands in that I've read in manga.
Right.
Because there is like most of the manga that I love are still ongoing. Like classics like Berserk, Vagabond, Vinland Saga, for example. And then there are other things like Slam Dunk where you just feel, it just kind of just ended. You know what I mean? It had its,
Well, come on. You can't say that final chapter of Slam Dunk.
Don't spoil it for me. I want to read it.
Okay. Well, essentially, like, I'm not going to tell you how the story goes because there's a lot to unpack. But basically, like, Slam Dunk, I really liked the final chapter of Slam Dunk because it was kind of, like, experimental almost because... Almost
another dimension.
No.
Where the basketballs slam dunk you.
No, because what really made that like final chapter famous was the fact that almost the entirety of the final chapter has no dialogue.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's just like, like basically he was just like, let me just show you the story rather than telling you the story.
Yeah. I don't have the problem with the final chapter. I just felt like
with the wrap up, right?
Yeah, I felt like they could have gone further with the entire story, and I feel like he just kind of ran out of ideas and just ended it. You know what I mean? But it's not that it wasn't a great final chapter. It was just that I wanted to spend more time with these characters.
No,
and I feel like there could have been room to spend more time.
That was
with
me
the
with
characters.
Hikaru no Go.
Oh my God.
If we're talking about absolute cuckold endings, like
Oh
Hikaru no Go.
God. Hikaru no Go is a show. No, not a Go manga. It's
you know what Go is?
Remember
Go?
Yeah,
like
of
the
course.
black and white.
Isn't this one where the ghost teaches him?
The one where the ghost teaches
just doesn't
him.
end well.
It just ends.
Oh, okay.
It just
okay.
ends. You know what I mean?
It ends in like a really controversial way.
Oh, I see.
Where people were kind of just like, wow, there must have been some like strings behind the scenes that were kind of just like, you're gonna end it this way, whether you like it or not, kind of thing. Because it's very, very unsatisfactory.
Yeah,
that's sad.
Nobody was happy.
Are there any good endings that you can think of off the top of your head? Aside from Oyasumi Punpun, because I know you're about to mention Oyasumi Punpun.
That's the first thing I think of when I think of the most like genius ending. It's Oyasumi Punpun.
I haven't read like many manga compared to Joey, but I don't know. I'm happy enough if it just doesn't completely fuck itself at the end.
Yeah,
I honestly, is that how it is to be a manga fan? Where you're just like, as long as it doesn't completely fuck everything up,
even if it's like average, I'm still satisfied with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like I just recently finished reading Beastars, right? Because the last volume came out like a week ago.
Yeah.
Not the strongest ending in my opinion, but it wasn't a complete shit show of an ending. So I was like, you know what? I'm satisfied.
Okay.
Could have been better, but it could have been a lot worse as well. So
is the ending of a manga that important? Cue Vsauce music.
Unless
I feel like if an ending of a manga or even an anime is good, that can bring it up from like a decent show to like a fucking masterpiece level.
I honestly, go on.
I mean, the biggest example I can think of is the clusterfuck that was Code Geass season 2.
Yeah, we mentioned this last week,
and yet somehow I will never forget it because of how great the ending was. Same with something like Cowboy Bebop, for example, as well.
I think the ending matters more in anime than it does in manga.
I think it matters. What do you think is the difference?
I don't know. I think the way that you
length
and the way that you experience it. I remember vastly the best bits of a manga more than I do like. When I look back on manga, I remember it as like an amalgamation of like the whole experience reading it, as opposed to episodes and like scenes.
Right.
And also, so I just find that when I finish a manga, I rarely ever think about the ending of any of them. I just think about my favorite moments throughout the manga.
I'm the complete opposite, actually.
You think about the ending?
I think with manga, I think more about like certain scenes, whereas with anime, I think about it kind of as a whole.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it's because I binge anime, so I kind of experience the anime all at once. Whereas with manga, a lot of it, because it's rather long,
That's the
unless it's
opposite
like
for me.
a couple of episodes, a couple of volumes, right?
I binge both, so I guess ending's always important to me.
Yeah.
Especially if I felt like I've spent like a lot of time with these characters. Like it doesn't have to be like an amazing ending, but what I want is a satisfying ending. But if there's an ending that is actually amazing and sticks with me, then I'll always remember that manga.
That's true. Because I read all of Vinland Saga, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Up to the point where it was out like a few months ago.
Yeah.
And if I never read it again, I'd probably be happy knowing that I had a good story up to where I got to, which sounds weird because it like literally was in the middle of like a fight. And I was like, you know what? I've read
I'm satisfied.
I've read so much of this that I'm actually satisfied. Like, if I just stop reading this manga, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Like I'm fine.
But I guess that's where the double-edged sword is, right? Is that the longer the manga goes for, the more greater of an ending you expect.
I guess so.
Or sometimes you just, because sometimes you've read a manga for so long that you kind of just want it to end. You kind of just because that was me with Naruto.
So many.
That was me with Naruto. That was me with Bleach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where they got to a point when I was just like, I am reading this purely because I've invested so much time in it. It's the League problem, right? Yeah. You're just like, I've invested so much time in this.
Yeah.
That I just need to play it out.
What would you say is the cap then?
No, you just know. It's like a feeling, right? Like when I was reading Ice Shield, like when I got to like chapter like 250, I'm like, all right, let's wrap it up. But it had like another 100 left. Right, and I was like, all right, this felt like it went on long enough. Like it felt like they were adding too many things. And a lot of manga have had that where like what was once a gigantic threat earlier on, even though they haven't changed much in power, will suddenly be like they dispatch it in like one hit. Like, there's so many stuff like that where it's like, so this really cool fucking enemy you introduce, you start just one-shotting later on. It's like, what's the point of this? Like, you're just completely ruining all the stakes over and over again. I hate it.